Hello, fifth graders. Today we're going to go on to Storyworks and look at a video that's about context clues. Maybe you've learned about context clues before. Those are clues that you get from the words around an unfamiliar word. So if there's a big word that you don't know, you can sometimes figure it out using the words around it. And we're going to use this for idioms as well. It's a phrase you might not know, and using the words around it, you can maybe figure out what the phrase means. We'll talk more about idioms later. So we're going to go to Storyworks and go to Word Nerd. Word Nerd is in every magazine, and it shows a little sentence or a couple of sentences that have some very big words, and you try to figure them out. But this is an introduction to Word Nerd, and it's a reminder of how we use context clues. Okay, so let's go to that. There we go.
Tyler Maxwell used to be a typical boy, but one day, a 10-pound dictionary fell on his head. Luckily, he survived, but now Tyler can only use the biggest, hardest words there are. His friends don't understand him. Can you help? Use our helpful hint to decipher, figure out, what the Word Nerd is saying in some of our favorite Word Nerd adventures from over the years. On a sheet of paper, write down in your own words what the Word Nerd is trying to say.
I am livid about the unsightly apparel my parents coerced me to don today.
Unsightly apparel means ugly clothes. So what does livid mean? How would you feel if your parents coerced you to don ugly clothes?
All right, on your piece of paper, write down a guess. What does livid mean? He had to wear clothes that he thinks are really ugly. How would he feel? If you guessed angry or mad or upset, you're right. That's what livid means. It means very angry, very upset, very mad. Let's keep going.
Thinking about context, or what would make sense in a sentence, can be a great clue to a word's meaning.
The secured vestibule in which I store my possessions was the aroma of a swine's abode.
Which words in the Word Nerd's exclamation can you figure out from what you see here? What would you call the secured vestibule where he keeps his stuff?
Well, I like how he said where he keeps his stuff. That's a very big clue, and the picture is a clue. Where does he keep his stuff? He's calling it his secured vestibule. What would you call it? Write it down. If you said locker, you're right.
Halitosis, my dentifrice in the form of alabaster cleansing solvent, is severely depleted.
The word group dent means tooth. Think about the dentist. So what do you think dentifrice means? Alabaster is a white mineral. What do you think something described as alabaster looks like?
Okay, so it's going to look like alabaster, a white mineral. It's dentifrice, so it has something to do with teeth. And I see the word cleansing right here. Cleansing, white cleansing for your teeth. What are they talking about? Write it down. If you wrote toothpaste, that's right.
I am enamored of poultry morsels encased in breading.
The prefix "n" means put into or go into. What do you think enamored and encased? Here's another thing. The word root amour means love.
Okay, so enamored means in. N means in love, and then encased, in a casing. So I can tell that those are chicken nuggets. Poultry morsels are chicken nuggets. How does he feel about his chicken nuggets? If you wrote down that he loves them, you're right. He's enamored. He's in love with them.
My dishes are fatigued from engaging in a surfeit of electronic pastime.
Digits can mean numbers, but be careful, that's not what it means here. What other meaning do you think it has?
Okay, whoops, I'm going to back it up a little bit. Okay, it's saying digits, and it's giving you some clues on this page. He's been engaging in a surfeit of electronic pastime. Video games is the electronic pastime. So what would get fatigued? What would get tired? If you said fingers, you're right. Digits can sometimes mean fingers.
Other meanings you think it has.
While trudging down the thoroughfare, I blundered in a fissure and plummeted off my posterior.
Which words do you already know? Use those words and the picture to figure out what meanings would make sense for the words you don't know.
Oops. Okay, while trudging down the thoroughfare, I blundered into a fissure and plummeted onto my posterior. What happened to him? He was trudging. That's a kind of walking. Down the thoroughfare. That's kind of a path. Looks like a sidewalk here. I blundered into a fissure and plummeted onto my posterior. Okay? Write down what happened to him. If you said he tripped on this crack and landed on his bottom, you're right.
Words and the picture to figure out what meanings would make sense for the words you don't know. Looks like the word nerd had enough adventures for today. But you can use these hints whenever you come across unfamiliar words. Have an idea for a great word nerd adventure?
Okay, we're going to stop right there. This is something you can do for a word you don't know or a phrase you don't know. And idioms, if you're not familiar with an idiom, you've never heard it before, there's no way to know it because it's just sort of a slang in a way that people came up with, a phrase. And if you've never heard it before, someone usually has to tell you about it. Or you can figure it out from the context clues like we just learned. Good luck.